Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of She Plays Games, the podcast where we celebrate women in the video games industry. I'm your host, Lauren, and I've been working as a journalist and content creator in the games industry for the last 10 years. On my show, I have a chat with women of many different roles within the games industry, whether it's journalism, games development, or even streaming. My goal is to give visibility to the many women in video games with hopes to inspire a new generation of women in gaming. For today's announcements, I was lucky enough to be nominated for an MCV Women in Games Award last week, and I just wanted to say how grateful and honored I felt to be among such amazing people. I was up for the Campaigner of the Year award, and I actually got to have a lovely chat with my fellow nominees, Faye from Trans Game Dev, Roz Tuplin, who's now at Jagex, Cynthia Musio from Splash Damage, Mary Claire Eastman from Women in Games, and Michelle Tilley from Sony. We joked so much that we must have been the kindest group of the bunch because we were literally just so happy for each other's accomplishments. I just wanted to extend my congratulations again to Cynthia for winning, and of course to all the other winners and those who were shortlisted, who I truly admire. I can only hope that I can be among you amazing people again soon. On today's episode, I'm speaking with Shin. Jay is the co-founder of an independent studio called Arrogant Pixel, and she's also a lecturer on the Games Design and Animation course at the University of West London. You may also recognize Jay as one of the moderators on the She Plays Games Discord server, and she is awesome. I really hope you enjoy listening to Jay's story, and if you like what I do, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. This is episode 34 of She Plays Games. Hey Jay, welcome to She Plays Games.
Hello, lovely to be here.
Oh, I can't wait to talk to you about everything relating to your career so far and what you're working on now. But first, I just want to say thank you for all of the support that you've given me building out our podcast and our amazing community. You're currently a moderator on the She Plays Games Discord, and I just, all the appreciation to you.
Oh no, that's really no problem. It's actually, you guys have done more for me than I've done for you guys, I think, anyway. I've very much got an attachment to this particular Discord, very special place in my heart. Oh. And of course to you, Lauren, as well. You've just been so lovely to me and just so supportive and just a really good person to just talk to about anything. So, thank you for being you.
Oh, likewise. It's like, I love it. I love our Discord because we're all so kind and supportive of each other. I mean, obviously, I know that, there's a lot of Discords out there, but I do love us. I do, I think we're just so sweet. We all just want to see everybody else succeed, really.
Yeah, so please join our Discord. It's amazing.
Please. So at the moment, you are the co-founder of Arrogant Pixel, an independent development studio based in London. And since its inception back in 2015, you've served as a director looking after marketing and promotion. But up until that point, your education and professional career had no relation to video games. So what prompted the move?
Well, to be honest, we started the company back in 2015. You're correct. That's when we went to, the bank and opened our bank accounts and registered the limited company. But myself and Ben, the co-founder, my partner in real life, we've been making games since we met, really. We met in 2007. And I think that we were just toying with the idea of making just creative products. We were in bands together. Originally I came from music. I was a session singer. I was a jingle writer. I played in lots of bands, and played a lot of music. And I thought for a long time that I was going to be a rock star. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be, I don't know, this kind of very naive well, looking back on it, I call it naive, but at the time I was thinking that I was going to succeed doing that. But video games was not like a side note. It was very much part of my life since I was a child. Maybe not in the traditional sense. A lot of people in the video games industry have been like, I've been playing games all my life. You know, I had really positive influences sort of growing up. My parents encouraged it, you know, all of that stuff. I had kind of none of that, except I was just surrounded by people that loved video games, and I just wanted to be friends with those people, I suppose. So very much so, I played, in terms of the games that I used to play, I didn't play any kind of multiplayer games. They're all sort of single player experiences, all on PC because I wasn't allowed a console. But the thing that actually prompted the move from music to video games is actually quite recent. It's probably the coronavirus, to be honest, the pandemic recently, because all of the events and everything that I had planned really this year sort of fell through. And I never really wanted to be in a situation where that would happen again, really. And I thought that, oh God, you have to think that I'm working both in music and video games all up until now. So there was a very much like a cognitive dissonance. So I was delivering lectures to music students, but I'm going like, actually, guys, I don't really work in music anymore kind of thing. So it felt quite disingenuous. So I wanted to unify what I was doing professionally with what I was teaching, for example. So that's why I decided to make like the move to doing video games pretty much full time. So it's actually quite recent. So yeah, here I am officially, even though, you know, I've been running the company for a long time and everything like that. But it was very much a organic, I didn't really make a decision. It just sort of, I fell into it. Yeah. Is another way to put it.
But I think that that's like so common with video games. Like the more and more I talk to people, the more and more I realize that like a lot of us, like we had this sort of general interest in video games, but you just kind of fell into a role within it without even sort of, not necessarily like not even trying, but it just sort of happened.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was part of my grand plan or anything, but I just know that as like a person that I needed to work in creative arts. Maybe it's because of my musical background or something, but it's just like, I said in a previous podcast as well, I probably make quite a bad employee, I think, in a company, because if I'm not interested in what I'm doing, I don't think I'd just be able to work in an office somewhere.
Oh, I'm the same.
I just can't see myself doing that. And I've never done that before either. It's just like, I look at it and I just go, like, I just know that it's not for me. So what kind of careers, you know, would I be happy working in? And then obviously there's like a Venn diagram, isn't there, of like the various different industries that could be possible. So that's sort of more where I just like making creative things. And it doesn't really matter whether it's music or video games or film or anything like that. It's just, I really like creative production in general.
I think it's also like, because video games is so new and because it's so limitless as to what you can do, it is like the perfect career for somebody who's creative as well. Like there's not really as much of a, like, obviously, like depending on the type of game that you want to make, like if you want to make like a AAA game, like, yeah, of course you need to have a big budget for that. You need to have big pockets. But if like for the indie scene, you can make fantastic games with not like still quite a big budget, but like not like sort of a Titan type of budget, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, no, I can definitely like say that. I mean, our company is a testament to the fact that you can make games with no industry connections, no money whatsoever, and no experience as well. Like everything that I've done up until now has just been a case of, you know, just trying things and seeing if it worked and failing a lot. You know, that's another thing. It's just like before the games company, I had been starting businesses for a long time. maybe even since I was a teenager. You could probably count like a band as a business, right? Like in the sense that like you're gigging, you're making money to record the album, and then you gig again, you make more money, make the next album, that sort of thing. And I think I was very much trained very well by the music industry, because nobody's going to do anything for you in the music industry. Everything you have to do yourself. And that's the attitude that I sort of took into video games as well. Because I didn't assume that I was going to get a leg up from anywhere, because obviously who am I? I've never worked in a AAA company. I've never even, you know, worked in an indie company before, or even in a, like, apart from my own. So very much we knew that this was going to be a bit of an uphill struggle, and we've just been pleasantly surprised, you know, ever since, how like welcoming and accepting the game dev community in the UK is, really. So I think that in general, I made a good move from music to games, just because as well, like in music, you see prodigies all the time, you know, 8-year-olds that can play violin to the standard of like somebody who's been playing for like 30 years or something like that. And you're like, I'm never going to be as good as that, you know, ever. So in terms of like making a video game, because it's so difficult, you need that team, and you don't need to be incredible at what you do. You just need to be able to make stuff and finish stuff in a good amount of time to a good quality. That's all you need, really.
Yeah, like that passion to really do it.
Yeah, just the idea that like that it's not just a talent, like an innate skill. You have to like work at it. You know, put in the actual hours and do the thing. And that to me speaks a lot more to like how I tend to do things. Whereas no matter how much effort I put into music, there is always going to be a 12-year-old that's going to be better than me.
I know, so, it's so hard. But no, I think your point about making mistakes as well is like a huge thing of it, because like, especially with games all have like bugs, and you know, not every game resonates with people, and like it is so important to make mistakes in order to better yourself and train your skills.
I think that like people are so scared of making mistakes, but there's two ways to fail, you know. One is to fail, you know, at your business, and the other way is like failing to start, you know, in the first place. And I think that I'm more scared of failing to start something than I am actually failing at the thing, because to me, I failed so often, you know, in the past that it doesn't even faze me anymore. It's just more like, oh, well, that didn't work out. What's next? Kind of thing. And having that healthy detachment from the creative projects that you're making. And that's probably why, I don't know, I'm different to maybe the members of staff that are working for Arrogant Pixel, because I feel like I'm probably one of the more purist producers, in that I'm not like 100% involved in the production side of things, but I can definitely have like more of an outsider's look at it and not be too emotionally invested in the project, so that when it does eventually get scrapped, or if it does fail, then it's just like, oh, well, you know, I can definitely move on to something a lot easier than maybe, you know, purely like creative people, artists, you know, they put a lot of emotion and care into what they do, that it's very difficult to separate yourself from your creative work sometimes, so that when a bad review comes up, then it's like, oh my God, you know, and they get really upset. But for me, I'm looking at like bad reviews and being like, this is gold, like this is actually, you know, critiquing our product, and I'm getting a lot more information from the bad reviews than I am from, like, say, the good reviews. So it's just a different perspective that I offer the company, I think, anyway.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I mean, like you said that before, you and your partner, you guys used to make games like before the company. What kind of like games did you guys make before?
Actually, we were trying to make point and click adventures, because we just really love point and click adventures.
They're so cool. Ben, I love them.
Yeah, just really connected over Grim Fandango.
Oh, yeah.
Which was the Tim Schafer game, which is, beautiful, glorious. Music is amazing. The voice acting is amazing. What's his name? Manny Calavera is voiced by the guy who plays Betty's dad in Ugly Betty.
Oh, really?
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember his name exactly, but it was a famous actor, and it was. I didn't find that out until much later, so there's a little trivia fact for you. But point and click adventures, I just love them because maybe it's just a nostalgia thing. I just remember playing them as a child. I remember getting very, very stuck. I remember getting very upset about it and getting like, I don't know, that game took me months to beat. And I don't think I ever even finished it until me and Ben actually played it together again, when we actually got together. But we did play it independently. We connected over that. We tried to make a platformer. But these were all just like learning how to do stuff. These were never really intended to sort of make it out to the public, but sort of like the beginnings of Arrogant Pixel were there, in that we were trying to recruit artists to kind of help us. We had a friend that moved in, we were trying to create some kind of production house, and the artist decided that after like 8 months of working on the project that it was just too much, that it was just an obscene amount of work. Like obviously in a small company where you've got one program or one artist, it's like, well, there's only a certain type of game that you can create in like a year. So I think that we were definitely overstretching. So mistake number one, don't completely blow out your scope just because you want to. It's just like you have to think about feasibility, and we weren't thinking about feasibility. We were just thinking about learning the software and learning how to do things. So yeah, we were exploring and learning for good sort of 5 or 6 years before we even decided to incorporate, really. Yeah.
But I think that is the thing, like everything creative, for some reason, it's always extremely complicated in the beginning and then simplifies after you've done it enough. Like, I don't know why I guess that is the thing. It's the skills that you're learning and adapting. But I know like with video editing, especially, like I edit videos so much more efficiently than I did in the past. And it's just because I've like practiced a lot. And I think that is the thing. Like there's probably so many things that like you guys did before that now is just kind of like, okay, well, this is like this I can sort of gauge in my mind will take this much time, and it's so much less than before.
Yeah, I guess it's just the same with freelancing. Like the more you freelance, the more accurately you can give quotes, to clients. So if a client comes up to me and says, they want a campaign for, launching a product, and I'll be like, okay, even just by listening to what they need for like, 20 minutes or something, I can be like, okay, roughly it'll be about this. And when I go to do it, it is about that. So I've definitely gotten a lot more accurate. And that is, again, like you say, just from experience. That's and the thing is, it's not just experiences in going to school, it's experiences in doing the thing.
Yeah.
No matter how badly or like weirdly that you do it in the beginning, it's just all a learning curve and it's all okay, but you still need to start doing the thing is sort of the it's sort of where I'm coming from. It's just like you can prepare as much as you want, it will never prepare you for when things go wrong.
Yeah.
And the amount of times where like the customer or the client will just like smack you in the face with, something that you had never thought of before. It still happens to this day, it's just be like, oh yeah, I didn't consider that, and just to know that you don't have all the answers still, to this day, like I still feel very much like I don't know what I'm doing most of the time, even though maybe I project a different sort of, confidence on the outside, but very much inside, I'm still like full of fear, full of doubt, that the thing is going to work or it's not going to work. But it's all part of the process, I think. So it tends to go in cycles. Yeah.
I think we do. We need to, I feel like in a lot of cases, we need to be more transparent with the struggles or the evolution of what goes into things, especially because of, how many people coming in and feeling imposter syndrome because of what they see at the end product. Like you see the pretty side of it, but we don't always see the nitty gritty, which is why I love like watching those documentaries, like the one on Hades, just like seeing the things that go wrong from Supergiant Games. And it's just like, you know, the more I think we're honest with the fact that everything that you do might turn out really ugly to start with, but like you just work at it and you will get it to the point that you feel as though that is how you want it to. And even if it doesn't, even if it looks different, that's still okay. You still worked and you still learned something from it.
Absolutely. It's not like we started Arrogant Pixel thinking, oh yeah, we're going to be successful overnight, because that was definitely something that me and Ben discussed. We were just like, no, we can't rely on the next project being a success. We have to survive despite it, you know, failing, for example. Like that's the sort of attitude that we sort of take. It's just like every project that we take on, it's just like, is it okay if this flops? Are we still going to be around?
Yeah.
If this is an absolute train wreck and, you know, we get nothing back and all of this stuff. And if the answers are yes, then it's all good, because, you know, you're not putting that pressure on yourself, you know, to basically, it doesn't have to be like a big blockbuster success. What it needs to do is meet a few targets, you know, that we would like it to meet, very, very conservative targets as well. And then this is like our bottom line. And then anything else above that is like a really nice bonus, you know. That's sort of where we're looking at it. We're definitely very pessimistic when it comes to projecting for the future of the company. And therefore, I think that's how we've managed to sort of keep it going for so long.
Yeah.
Because my concern is to do with longevity. I want to keep this company alive for at least 10 years. That's sort of my goal. Because not many companies do survive that long. So that would be an achievement in itself. Even at that time, if I decided to close up the company, I'd have run a company for 10 years. And that says something, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, people will always look at that type of thing and be like, wow, like that is incredible. And you can't get back the amount of skills and things that you learn from it, and the experience that you have is so much more valuable than anything else. Agreed.
Like I started a business in my first month of the second year of uni. It failed, obviously, you know, otherwise I'd still be working there. But we borrowed something like $8,000 between the four of us to start a business. And I have to tell you, that $2,000 I spent, you know, or lost, you know, you can look at it either way, is the best money that I've ever spent on my education in terms of like real life. It taught me a lot about what kind of people that you need in your team. I just thought that if you had an idea that was good enough and people that had the skills, that would be enough to make a business succeed. But it's not. It really isn't. You need people that are invested. And that's a really hard lesson to learn, I think. But it's not like it bankrupted us or anything. You know, it was only $2,000. You know, it was enough to, you know, get us started, get us doing the paperwork, learning what it meant to like run a limited company, because I'd never done that before. And that made me make way less mistakes with Arrogant Pixel, because if I had screwed up in the way that I screwed up with the previous business, then I don't know if we'd be in the same position that we are now, basically.
Yeah, it's almost like the stakes have to be high initially in order for you to like learn what to do with it when the stakes are high again. Like it's like this weird sort of give and take.
Yeah, I just don't want to screw up with a £500,000 budget. I'd rather fail off my own back. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want public failure.
Yeah.
That's sort of more where I'm coming from. I just want to be very careful and do the right things and just try to make as few mistakes as I can, because I've spent my entire life up until now, hopefully falling over, getting back up, and, you know, learning from those mistakes and things like that. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm at the moment.
So, I mean, in addition to working at Arrogant Pixel, you're also a lecturer at the University of West London, where you teach students about music performance, technology, and management. Has this helped you to stay connected with what I guess you'd call your other life?
I love music. The thing that I really like to do to actually unwind is to play music. And for a long time, that didn't happen. So I'm actually feeling like this move into games has allowed me to enjoy music a lot more, playing music for myself and not for other people or, to make money or whatever. But in terms of teaching students, the kind of lectures that I give are very transferable. The skills, I'm very much focused on like business development, personal development. So really, what I'm teaching the music students is pretty much exactly the same as I'm teaching the games industry students, except I kind of tailor the sessions more towards music or more towards games. But the point is that everybody needs to learn how to run a business in the UK. There are certain, check boxes that you need to do. There's certain strategies that are available to you as a business owner, talking about like game theory and all sorts of things like that. So in terms of helping me stay connected, I want to, my other goal, apart from the company, would be to become an academic. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to, this might seem a bit vain, but I'll be honest with you, in terms of people listening to me, I feel that I need to have that degree, because when you are a professor or a doctor or have a doctorate in a subject, the people listen to you. And that's what I'm hoping anyways, because I'm not that I want to change things in particular or anything, but I just want people to know, people to listen to what I have to say about things like how we structure our workplaces, how we work in teams in the games industry, crunch culture, all of those things. So I want to be a bit of an authority on that. So that's what I'm working towards at the moment. So part of my the lecturing, all of that sort of, it's all connected to this goal of, I want to be an academic, I want to get my PhD, and I want to do that. So musical games, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm still teaching the same subject. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is very important to also have that where you can fall back in love with something you care so much about. I think that is something that can so quickly happen with things that you love. Like for me, like art is always something, like drawing is always something that I really used to do to de-stress and like just unwind. And when you have that kind of thing taken away by work, you're just kind of like, oh, well, crap, what do I do now? Like my go-to is gone.
No, I totally agree. It's just like, it sort of makes it, I don't know, maybe it cheapens it. I don't know, but it just feels, you just don't feel like doing it anymore. And I just really didn't like that. And now every time I sit down at the piano, it's a joy. It's an absolute joy. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm going to spend the next hour or two just singing my heart out, not really caring. And it feels great. It feels so great. But in terms of the lecturing, I mean, I really enjoy that too. There's not much that I do these days that I'm like truly unhappy about, which is a really, really great change.
That's fantastic.
To be honest. Yeah.
And I actually had a question from our Discord community from Taya, who asks, how did you choose your PhD topic?
Okay, well, I'll probably just to summarize what I'm actually doing. So I'm aiming to look at project management processes of indie games developers with the aim of trying to understand a little bit more about how indie games are made, in general. How I settled on that topic was I was previously doing another PhD at UWL. I was doing it in music, and I was having a massive existential crisis because I was like, oh, okay, I've got to work on this PhD for 5 years, but I don't know if I want to do it in music. So I quit that, moved to Birkbeck, and I joined the management school. So I changed fields. So I'm not doing music anymore. I'm actually doing a PhD in management. And it's a completely different environment, but I knew that I wanted to do my topic on indie games development because that's where I've always sort of been. I've always been part of like independent art movements. Even in music, I was very much, championing independent musicianships and things like that. So it was actually really easy choosing the topic. But it's taken a long time. Like, what was it? I started teaching in 2015. So around the year that we started Arrogant Pixel, that was my first day walking into a classroom. And it's taken from then up until like last year for me to decide on a PhD topic. Yeah. So it took a long time, but it felt so right. It was just like combining all of my interests in one, academia, management studies, video games, production processes. And yeah, I'm really excited about the topic. I hope that it turns into something that I can start talking about in a few years' time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like with indies, like indie games they've been around a while, but they still feel so fresh and new. And the idea of how to develop an indie title still feels new. I think that is something that would be really fascinating to see, if there is like a sort of way for all indie development companies to follow, like a sort of
like a little framework or something.
Framework. Yeah. Like I wonder if we will get to that point where like you can find how to do it essentially.
I think that is an interesting question, because, that raises the question of what is an average indie game. And of course, that is just, that's another huge question.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's just sort of like,
it's so broad.
You've got projects that are made by like one person. And then you've got, companies like mine that have got like maybe 8 people working for them. And, the kind of projects that we can create, vastly differ. And then, but that's part of what I'm investigating, really. It's just like trying to find out what kinds of things are even possible.
On that note, with Arrogant Pixel at the moment, as you said, you have a team of 8. Have you found it difficult to scale up in a manageable fashion while also still being able to deliver the kind of games you want?
Yeah, no, honestly, that's been the main struggle, because a lot of people actually, since we released Doris, people are looking at us now as a company that finishes games. So obviously, people want to work with us because they're thinking that they might get a credit on our next game or whatever that we produce. So actually attracting people has not been that hard. But in terms of like actually finding people that we trust to bring on board, I don't generally hire people that I have not met in person. And that is true for absolutely everybody in the team. So the 2 directors I've known for like 7 or 8 years. One of the shareholders that have just come on recently, Pedro, again, we've known him for years, and he worked for the company informally, for like a year or so before actually coming on board, and buying shares. And then the other 2 members of staff, was it the artists, basically, the art department. The reason why we went with them is because we were so impressed with their artwork. And then they were also willing to put up with the fact that we weren't paying very much, We are like a tiny, tiny company. So we're just like, look, this is the situation. We don't want to treat you like this, but also we're kind of abusing ourselves as well. Yeah. So it's just like, whatever you're getting paid, I'm getting paid less. Like, that's basically what I'm telling the artists. It's just like, I don't get paid, until the very, very, very end. That's after all of our suppliers have been paid. All of you lot have been paid. I get the scraps that are left over, and sometimes I don't even take that because I want to, buy something for the company or anything like that. So I don't see the company as a reliable income for me, but for some members of staff, it is. So we've got it's a big balance between like doing client work that brings in like regular cash, and then obviously doing the more creative long tail projects that are not going to earn us any money until it actually ships. So we just basically balance between the two. But the artists themselves, they don't really do a lot of the client work. The client work is myself, Ryan, Ben, and Assad that are basically bringing in the money so that we can actually keep the company going. But luckily, we don't have to do that full time. So like I said, I'm spinning a lot of plates, but it's not like I'm working at uni full time. It's not like I'm working at the college full time or doing this full time. It's just I'm very busy every day, but with lots of different things, and I don't need to put my full attention on every single one every single week. Does that sort of make sense? Which is why I can kind of get away with doing so much. So I've got a lot of part-time jobs, basically, is how I manage it.
I think it's good. I think it is like sort of, it's coming to fruition, especially with the way that we are right now in lockdown and with Corona going so crazy, is that like there's a lot of us who are doing a lot of different things at once. And in a way, it makes some things better, because I think you learn things from you can apply a lot. And I don't know, I guess like you and me and the other people that I've talked to have like benefit from doing different things.
Oh,
like
God,
changing
like
your mind gear.
Everything that I do feeds into each other, right? So the lecturing at university, is definitely helps like my professional career, in terms of client work or the business. So as long as they're all sort of in the same field, I don't really see it as like separate jobs, because it's all just like one thing. Before, when I was splitting my brain, with music and games, that felt really hard, and that felt much, much harder than what I'm doing now, even though like the hours that I'm putting in have increased. Obviously, I've taken on new jobs like this year and things like that, working for the college, but I actually feel very much like my brain is only in one camp, which is the video game camp, and I'm very, very happy there. So I don't need to, in my mind, I'm not splitting my brain, across two different industries now. Even though I'm doing lots of things, they're all just sort of interrelated. They're all sort of connected to each other. And therefore, if I'm doing well at college, I'm also going to be doing well, with my business on the other side as well. And it gives my students like something. One of the students said basically that they really respected what I was doing because I'm actually doing it.
Yeah.
So I feel a great deal of pride in the fact that I'm still a practitioner and not just a lecturer as well. I'm not saying anything about just lecturers. I love you all.
Yeah.
But, and just terms of just like, if you can do other stuff, then I think you should. I think, if you're bored and you're sitting at home thinking about what to do, it's just like, do more things then, get more involved.
I think that is the thing about like the whole learning process and like being alive essentially is, always be curious. And if you're not being curious, that's when you need to reevaluate what it is you feel inside and stuff. And no, I definitely think that it's so beneficial for you to still be in what you're doing as well as teaching it, because you're so fresh in encountering certain things. So who better, which is why I love like the mentorship programs that are going around at the moment, because I think that those are so beneficial.
This is the thing, like people like put a lot of faith in like these courses or these YouTube learning from YouTube and things like that, which you totally can do. But also just in terms of like real life stuff though, in terms of like business, I kind of feel like you need to have some kind of mentor, somebody that has been there, right? So because it's like you don't have that confidence as like a business owner, especially young women as well, because I don't know if it's a natural thing to want to be really competitive and really, get out there. It doesn't come naturally to a lot of us. So having that person there that's just sort of like, you're doing okay. At this stage, I was doing exactly the same thing, and just giving you that sort of encouragement. I've had a lot of personal mentors over the years, and I still speak to them to this day. I still, they've been so helpful and so kind and so generous with their time. I don't think that I would be as confident as I am now without them. So it's not just about me. It's just like building this team around you and just having a support network. Building that support network is really, really important, because it's so hard to do things on your own.
Oh my gosh,
yeah. So even just having like my partner, Ben, like without Ben, like this company wouldn't exist. And I'm so grateful to anybody and everybody that's got involved. I think my team members that we have had so far, we've been working with them for like 4 or 5 years now. And we haven't lost anybody, which is great, because previously everybody that we recruited were, we lost at the end of the day. Either they got bored of the project or, they were doing other things. So it just sort of it just feels like everything's sort of settling and things are working out.
Yeah, they're starting to, they're all believing in you and believing in the vision.
Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, it's happening.
No, I think it is a thing though. I think it's because you believe in it as well. Like there's so much that can be said into how you feel about how what you're feeling inside is projected to other people.
God, yeah, no, it makes so much sense. Like I just know that I would lay my life down for these people.
Aww.
Like everybody. Like I would just what keeps me up at night is if the company goes down and then people can't pay their rent. That's the thing that sort of keeps me up at night. I know that I would rather overwork myself so that my team doesn't need to suffer or that they don't need to worry about certain things. People don't realize like the self-sacrifice that you need, maybe as a mother, you would also know. Like,
I was going to say they're like your babies.
Yeah, it feels like that. It really, really does. Like as a business owner, I've been criticized before, maybe on Twitter or on LinkedIn or whatever, about glamorizing overworking. And I'm like, dude, I'm not saying that you guys should overwork. I'm just saying that I overwork so that you guys don't have to. Do you see what I mean? As a business owner, it's not the same as being an employee. Like if you don't work, then people don't get paid. That's the reality of it. And, for people that are saying that, we shouldn't glamorize it, it's just like, well, nobody's glamorizing it. It's just it's responsibility of the business owner.
Yeah.
You are providing this job and therefore, there's certain things that you have to do and it's not always ideal, working tirelessly, for days on end, but it should never be permanent anyway. That sort of state. But
it's never completely there. But no, like that's the thing. Like there's times where like with editing videos and stuff, like we know that we're not going to make a deadline, but we just work our asses off in order to get everything done so that it can. And like that just has to happen like that sometimes, like not all the time, but
choice. Yeah, it's like you've got a client deadline and they need it by tomorrow. It's just like, are you gonna like not meet the deadline, or are you gonna pull an all-nighter? It's the choice, isn't it? So it's sort of one of those. So it's about I think not judging people for like their work, for their I don't know, their work habits. Some people work tirelessly for 14 days and then take a month off. That's cool as well. Some people, advocate like the 6-hour workday or the 4-hour workday, and that's cool as well. But in my mind, I kind of want to do both. I'm one of those people that are just sort of like, well, why not work smarter and harder? Yeah. And then I get myself into situations where I'm just like, only got like one day off a week, but that's my fault, not yours.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then, we only have one more question. Sure. And it's another one from the community. It's from Questing Orc, who asks, what thing, project, or person in the games community is something that you want to see more of?
I would like to see more sort of single player experiences. I really, really enjoyed games like Her Story, for example. It was like a really introspective, like narrative driven game. I just love narrative games. That's just me in general.
Yeah, same.
So I don't think I can speak for everybody when I'm saying like what I would like to see, but more female main characters, obviously. I'd like to see, I don't know, just generally a celebration of video games being more mainstream. I'd like to see parents getting involved with playing games with their children a bit more.
Yeah.
And also participating in that conversation and not being so afraid of getting things wrong or like, do you see what I mean? I just want it to be comfortable for people to be talking about in their everyday. Like in Korea, it's so different because everybody plays video games. Even like my uncles that are in their 50s and 60s will still play StarCraft and Age of Empires and things like that with their colleagues. And it's a completely different culture. And maybe, if it gets more mainstream over here, it still feels like it's not quite there. No. But it's getting there. So I'm very excited to see, all of the different stuff that's going to be coming out over the next few years or so. Yeah. So I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely. I think that is the thing. Like, I mean, I struggle with the moms over here. Like, as much as I love them, like they're my mom friends in the sort of local vicinity. Obviously, I've met some online. Yeah, video games is still like a no-no. It's still like something that is very, very foreign to them. And it does make me sad sometimes, because I think that there's a lot of beautiful things that come out of video games. And I think we need to get past that stigma of all games are bad. You shouldn't be playing video games. You should be reading, like, you know, I mean, obviously, yeah, like it'd be great to do reading and video games, but like video games are a valid art form, and they provide a depending on what you're playing, a very valid entertainment / learning, like sort of medium. Like it's a whole experience, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's like with video games, yes, you're right, it's an art form, but it's also an educational tool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that we should assume that all games are the same either, and that there are different games with different people. And I think that's what people don't understand. It's just they think people that aren't into video games think of it as like a very niche. The video games look like one thing, when in reality, you know, there's casual games, there's mobile games, there's so much out there. Mm-hmm. There's something for everyone, for sure. Even for the mums. For the mums, there's something out there.
Of course. I mean, I played The Sims. That's why I became a mum, because I kept having 8 babies in The Sims and decided that was good for me. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, in any case, it was so fantastic to talk to you, Jay. I love what you're doing, and I think you're so inspiring and so strong, and I just can't wait to see what you guys do next.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me on. I've been listening to you for a long time, so I'm thrilled. Thank you for inviting me.
That's it for this episode of She Plays Games. Please be sure to follow Jay on Twitter at JWShin. Also, if you want more episodes of She Plays Games, please be sure to subscribe and follow me on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube by searching She Plays Games, and on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at She Plays Podcast. If you want to be on the show or want to nominate someone to come on the show, you can email me at sheplayspodcast@gmail.com. See you all next time on She Plays Games.